Hello everyone and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I am Austin Horrigan, also known as the 20-something nerd, also known as the Herald and Review Webs Monkey, but I no longer work there, and I've taken quite a long hiatus away from doing Let's Play videos. We are currently looking at Roble Kerman, who is alone in his suit in orbit around the moon, and he got there because I built a ship that did not have enough Delta V to get him into orbit, but it did have enough to get him high enough that so he could use his EVA pack to get himself into orbit. And we are launching a rescue mission with Jebediah Kerman flying the Intrepid space plane that I built myself. And the reason we want to rescue him is because he has about 600 points worth of science on his person, and I wanted to unlock as much of the tech tree as possible with him without letting that get to waste. And also, you know, I will value Kerbal life and whatnot. It would have been easier, a whole bunch easier, to use a rocket to get him, but I kind of like the glamour and this and the epicness of using a single stage to orbit space plane. And not to mention, there's not really right now. I don't have a lot of uses for a space plane, and so I am kind of excited to have a mission with one. And another reason I want to rescue him is because I'm going to be trashing this save after this video, actually, after this rescue, because this was done before the 0.24 update where they added budgets and everything. So I want to start a whole new save all over again, and I want to end on an epic note. Right now we're just going through your basic ascent, getting up to speed. I'm a little far away. We're about going 1,000 meters per second now, evening out my ascension. Because I want to maintain as much air as possible, get as much air intake as possible, and get up to as high speed as possible as I can, and also lift myself as high as possible using the oxygen-breathing engines, those turbojets, because they're much more fuel efficient than rockets. And I can honestly tell you the truth, barely have enough skill and fuel and Delta V to get this thing into orbit. And I think pretty soon here we're going to be losing our jet engines real soon. We have those nice entry effects because we're going so fast in the atmosphere. Soon, we're gonna go up. Actually, this is a pretty good ascent for me. Usually I have a lot of things go wrong. Space planes, oh, there they go. I cut them out now. They start to spin out, and I cut them and turn on the rockets and shoot straight up. All right. I tried to build another model for this rescue that had an actual had another whole seat attached to it, but I could not get it into orbit. I did not have, it was just too heavy to get up into orbit, whereas this can. And what I did, and you'll see later, is I actually put a capsule in one of my space stations ahead of time with the idea that I will dock with that capsule, I'll take it with me, and we will rescue Roble Kerman, and then bring him back down to Kerman. Oh, right now we are about to hit Apoaps. Was it Apoki, as Scott Manley called it? It took me a long time to figure out why he was calling it Apo. Oh, and I messed up. For some reason, when I fired my rockets, I completely pulled up. Just happened on its own. Let's try this again here. Try it again, even it out, and slowly go up, and there we go. Okay, Scott Manley will occasionally use the phrase Apoki, which I didn't understand for a long time. I looked it up on the internet, and I was like, what the heck is Apoki? And it's, what he's doing is being clever because he's adding K to it. But basically, Apogee responds to the apoapse of an orbit around our planet Earth. And sometimes they give personalized apo names to orbiting bodies like the sun. And so for this, he uses Apoki. I just say Apoapse. And we're getting there. We have a circularized orbit, which is fun. And now we're going to, I guess I'm still trimming it down a bit. I found myself, I didn't do these for so long because I was intimidated by the prospect of doing one of these videos. They're actually really, really hard to narrate. I had this edited a week ago, and I just got down now to decide, you know what, I'm just going to come home, I'm going to pour myself a glass of I'm currently drinking almond milk. This really good almond milk that we got. And I'm just going to do it. And right now I'm setting up my maneuvers for getting an encounter with my space station, which you'll see. It's been in orbit for a really long time around Kerbin. It's about, let's see, I think it has a flight time of 50-some years. And I put it up there originally just as a fuel tank, a giant friggin' fuel tank. It has 7 orange tanks on it. And it's funny because I got it up there and I was like, man, I'm gonna use all this fuel. I'm gonna use it for all these, missions and whatnot. I hardly ended up using it. I ended up using it more than anything for RCS fuel. It needed, it turned out RCS was the thing I ended up refueling the most out of a lot of things. But it's really great for space planes because I can get, as you can see, I have barely any fuel left. I have barely any fuel. It's practically no fuel. And so the space plane comes into orbit with not a lot of Delta V available to perform missions. And I actually made a mistake. I flew this thing to the moon one time, and I did not have enough fuel to get into orbit. And Jebediah was on board. And I honestly, I played this game really valuing the life of Jebediah because he's kind of a celebrity among Kerbin. And people that play KSP, and so he was stranded. I ended up having to send a buggy with fuel and whatnot to enable get him home. Anyway, I had done a docking maneuver to get enough fuel to go there, and you really need it. So here's my station, just killing my relative velocity, and or I did it a little bit ago, and I'm easing in, and there we are. There's you can see my little capsule there. It's just a simple one-man capsule. I spent a lot of time thinking about whether I wanted to grab it and put parachutes on it. Basically, the idea was, would I grab it and turn it into a kind of, I would enter the atmosphere and drop it and then parachute it down, or would I try to land with it? And there are some problems with the mechanics of the game that if you try to do the parachute idea, is anything that's within a certain depth of, I believe, any astral body in the game, if you were 2 kilometers away from it and it's not being rendered with physics, it'll just disappear. It'll be presumed that it's crashed. So I didn't want to do that because I wanted to be able to land my space plane as well. And so I'm actually, at the end of this, going to try to land the plane with the capsule on board, which should be interesting because, as some of you who have built space planes know, your center of mass and your center of lift, how they're aligned makes a big difference. And look, we're connected. Yay. So that'll be interesting later when we get back to that. But for now, I'm refueling. That was a pretty good docking, honestly. I spent this whole upper stage getting up here and then docking took me about 45 minutes. And that's kind of the problem with space planes. The one thing I don't like about space planes is they take, at least the way I build them, maybe I have a really inefficient way of building them, or maybe a really inefficient launch profile, but they take for much longer to get into orbit than rockets seem to me. Okay, we are undocking now. Excellent. Just pulling away. And at some point, I'm going to target turn around, get the slow turn around. And eventually, I'm going to target the moon at some point. Don't make a liar out of me. Checking my fuel to make sure I did fill it up all the way. I've occasionally forgotten to fill up RCS. And look at that thing. Look how ridiculously stupid it looks. Closing the shield for aesthetic purposes only. Okay. So we are now, the only thing we have to do is go get Roble. Here we go. Okay, set target the moon, set up a maneuver mode, and accidentally delete it, which I do all the time. I don't know why I do. They just seem to disappear for whatever reason. And, nice, delete it one more time. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Grab it, move it till they're about touching, and there, look at that. Look at that. Just adjusting it, and... Wow. All right. I guess we're ready. Ready to do this. Time accelerate to the location. Wait. and throttle up and forget that I turned off my engines, because that's what I do every time I dock now. I actually shut down my engines manually because I always seem to accidentally hit the shift button and then send whatever I'm docked with and myself careening off in strange directions. And the last thing I want to do is put whatever I'm docking with in an eccentric orbit or into a spin. So there we go. We are on our way. Time accelerate. And here we go. We are now on a capture trajectory. We're coming in. I'm setting up a capture. I think it's called an injection burn. I'm not entirely certain on what that exactly is called, but I am getting myself on an actual orbit here, and not quite. There you go. And then I need to adjust my inclinations so that I'm on the same plane as Roble, and we're about to do that now. Time accelerate. You guys are lucky. You're watching this at sometimes 5 times speed. I think a couple of them I did at 10 times speed because I wanted to turn this into a 20-minute video. It's a little bit longer than that, unfortunately. I did not realize how much time I actually spent. It was about a 2.5-hour mission. I did make one mistake, which I'll talk about in a second. So we're coming around here to Roble, and we are going to get ourselves within view of him. Right now we're killing our velocity relative to Roble. And oh nope, I'm wrong. I was setting up a maneuver. I'm wrong. Okay, now we're killing our velocity relative to Roble. Whoops. I can't see the screen particularly well right now, so that's my excuse, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. Look at that big old nose. It's like my nose. I have a big nose. And now we're just pulling in closer using our engines. So I can't use too much fuel because I am actually, there's not a lot of fuel on this thing. And as you can see, I'm already at probably like 25% of, not even, less than 25% of my total fuel, which is more than enough, to be honest with you. And so right there, what happened was, if you saw, I quick loaded and had to come in again because what had happened is I tried to bring Roble in on his EVA pack, and what ended up happening was I ran out of EVA fuel and I had to do the whole part of my mission over again. So that's where we are now. So there's not a ton of fuel on this thing that can be used for getting back to Kerbin, and something that I want to do is actually land at the Kerbal Space Center, and that requires enough fuel to get yourself into a circular orbit so you can have a controlled descent. And you'll see how I handle that later. But right now, we're coming up to one of the good parts. We're coming in very slowly. We're coming in at 3 meters per second, which is actually quite fast. You don't want to hit anything going 3 meters per second. It would not be good for your health. But it's quite slow in the scheme of things. We're coming in under 100 meters, getting close. Oh, Roble's been sitting in space for so long in orbit around the moon, but he has not dampened his spirits at all. If you look at him, he's a happy guy, just kind of floating there in his Kerbin immortality. And we're coming close in. Getting close. Because after wasting my EVA fuel and having him float there basically dead, I decided that I wanted to take no chances and get as close as I could. So I'm within meters, within 10 meters of him right now. And we're switching to him. And look at that. The world's luckiest Kerbin. Very few people go through this amount of effort to rescue a single Kerbin. It's over at that point. You're expendable and gone. But Roble, you are a valued individual because you have all that science. I mean, no, because we value you as a person. So here he comes. Coming in slowly, because I'm awful with the EVA pack. And grab, and get in the capsule, you idiot. Oh, look at all that science. I mean, yay, we rescued Roble. Okay, but now we have one more thing to do. We have to get back to Kerbin. Let's get back to Kerbin. I think I'm being artistic here. Look at it. Oh, look at my sheep. Give myself time for exposition. I didn't actually realize that I don't need time for exposition. It's fine. Just go. Get us home. Okay, so I'm turning around, and I'm gonna burn prograde and get myself in the escape trajectory. And there we go, and we're in Kerbin's orbit. And so here is my thing. I want to get into a circular orbit with Kerbin, and I don't have enough fuel for that. What you can do is you can do something called arrow braking, which is where you just touch the topmost part of the atmosphere, which should lower your apoaps and keep your periaps mostly the same. This is something you can't necessarily always do in real life, but this is Kerbal Space Program right now, and you can. And so, as you can see, my periaps is dipping a little bit there, though I am going kind of fast. And you can do this if you have enough time on your hands. You can do this forever, and I've actually cut out most of it, but it took me about half an hour. If you want to trade fuel for time, it's an excellent way to get yourself into a circular orbit. And I didn't burn any fuel here except for I did bring myself deeper in the atmosphere, because the lower you get, the less efficient the atmosphere is at slowing you down until you get... so you have to lower yourself a little bit deeper in the atmosphere to get it done more quickly. And here I'm actually firing upward prograde in order to keep my apoaps from dipping too low back into the atmosphere, because I'm not ready to descend yet. I want to land at the Kerbal Space Center, which was the whole point of this mission. If I just want to land anywhere, I would have just come straight down into Kerbin and done it that way. So I'm circularizing my orbit here, and not sure. I think, yes, Kerbal Space Center is in the dark, so we time accelerate around until it is in the daytime, and we're going to be landing. Right now, we are burning retrograde to bring our periaps down into the atmosphere. And here we go. Look at that beautiful sunrise. The sunrise symbolizes hope for Roble Kerman and the good news for the reputation of the Kerbal Space Program. And here we go. I'm just trying to adjust a little bit, and I'm not getting it. I don't end up getting it perfect. I don't. I'm trying to make sure that I don't ascend too quickly, so I have to fly over the half, a tenth of the planet, because while jets are more efficient, the fuel is not infinite, and they won't fly forever. But here we go. I think this is probably my final adjustment burn, and there they go. I am committed to my descent trajectory, and we're at 30,000 meters, which means we're actually we're in the atmosphere right now, but we don't really have enough air intake to keep... See, I even fire my engines up right now, and they are not behaving quite the way they should. But they'll start to do okay momentarily. And here we go. We're flying. We're going Super Saiyan skimming across the atmosphere at 20,000 meters up, because the higher you are, the more efficient these things are, because you're going very quickly for the same fuel consumption rate. But now I realize that I'm actually going quite a bit too quickly, and if I don't slow myself down and get low into the atmosphere, I am going to pass up Kerbal Space Center and then have to do a annoying and lengthy turnaround. So luckily I like this ship. This plane tends to be pretty stable, so I'm making some pretty aggressive turns here and adjustments to try to get, that would put most space planes that I've tried to build in the past into a flat spin, but this one's pretty stable. And so we're getting lower, and our speed is dropping, though we're still going quite fast. And okay, we've broken through to nearly 10,000 meters, and we're coming in smoking hot. We're going several times the speed of sound, but we're coming in, and this is actually looking really, really good. And this is so far a relatively flawless mission. And this is the hard part, but I was actually really surprised that it flew as well as it did with the giant capsule sticking on the top of it, because that has I've had so many problems with minor things completely throwing off the stability of my space planes. But this one seems to be doing okay. And we're coming in pretty much even here. And here we go. We're flying in, lowering the landing gear. That's promising. I'm feeling good about myself. I don't think I quick saved. I think this is just the run that I had. I only quick loaded once when I did that thing with the EVA pack. So otherwise, this is almost a single take mission. And we're coming in after a long and tiresome descent. I think this has been 20 days for Jebediah behind the wheel here. We're coming in. Oh my gosh, it's so perfect. Coming down. Gosh. Using RCS still because I'm not 100% on board with the stability being good on this thing. But it's doing okay. I'm really well pleased with it. I actually could not be any more happy with it. But, so we're coming in. We're at 500 meters per second. I'm convinced at this time that it's going to go perfectly. I've never had a descent go this well for any reason whatsoever. And I'm lined up perfectly. I'm not too low. I always end up too low and hit ground before I hit the runway. And we're pulling up a little bit, adjusting, slowing down. It's going well. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my god! And then that happens. And I'm like, what? Why on earth did my wing just blow off? And there goes the other one! And I lose the air intake. And I'm like, oh crap. Oh crap. And I start to panic, but I'm like, okay, I can do it. Oh, I hit the ground. I'm like, oh, let me panic some more and turn right off at the last second. Oh, brake, 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 brake. Oh my god. Oh my god, I did it. I did it. That was so that was like the most horrifying thing to have happened. I'm like, well, I'm going to come in. I have the most perfect landing I've ever made about to happen. And then part of my structural wing just flies off for no apparent reason. But there we did it. We got Roble Kerman, and it is perfectly done. And I'm excited to do some more videos. It may be a while because they're actually kind of difficult. But I'm Austin Horrigan, and hopefully I will see you at another time.